Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. This is Danelle with Networkchain, and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the institutions that are buying Bitcoin and how many of us have Bitcoin and how much is left that we can buy. First off, as usual, let's go ahead and start with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see here, Bitcoin trading above $60,000. It's still ranging between $60,000 and $70,000. We see that it's trading at $60,939, down 3.52% over the past week. Ethereum is under that $3,000 level, currently trading at $2,920, down 6% over the last 7 days. And you can see here for the remainder of the top 10, pretty much everyone else is down except for Toncoin, which is a cryptocurrency related to Telegram, the social app and messaging app that a lot of people use. Dogecoin and Cardano hanging on in the top 10. Cardano currently down 4.43%, trading at 44 cents, and Dogecoin down just under 4%, trading in that 14 cents range. So if we go and look at Bitcoin a little bit closer, over the last 5 days, as you can see here, it has been a little bit of a roller coaster. It went all the way up to above $63,000 earlier in the week, and then it came back down to around $61,000. We see that Bitcoin is kind of in that boring stage right now, and it actually is not a bad thing. This is potentially an accumulation range for a lot of the larger buyers, whether it's retail trying to make buys as well as institutions, as we know and we're going to speak about, are buying even more Bitcoin. And we're learning that more larger banks and institutions are looking to allocate some of their funds and investing into Bitcoin. So it's important to understand whether or not stacking Satoshis is right for you. So if we go here to a Motley Fool article, it talks about Square, and Square, or I should say Block, it's now called Block. They have now released information from their latest earnings report that they plan on investing more into Bitcoin. Now, they invested in Bitcoin several years ago and had about 8,000 Bitcoin in their treasury chest. And now they're devoting upwards of 10% of their Bitcoin profit. So anything that they make relating to any of their Bitcoin products that they offer, including Bitcoin trading, they will take 10% of those gross profits, and you can see here they are going to be investing into Bitcoin every month. So for the first quarter of 2024, their Bitcoin gross profit was $80 million, and this is now resulting in an investment of $8 million in Bitcoin under this new plan. Dorsey is encouraging businesses to invest in Bitcoin and shows their investment plan by allowing others to follow and copy what they are doing. So the core of the plan, as we mentioned, is to devote 10% of their gross profits from their Bitcoin products every month to purchasing Bitcoin. So this is obviously a form of dollar cost averaging. So no matter what the price of Bitcoin is, they are planning on investing into Bitcoin using that percentage of gross profits. So it's interesting to see what Block is doing. They've obviously been a leader as one of the public companies that had invested in Bitcoin fairly early, and we would not be surprised if we start to see more public companies and private companies do the same or have some type of investment plan where they're going to be allocating a certain percentage of their profits and putting it into Bitcoin. It's not a bad plan to invest, at least put a little bit of capital into Bitcoin, given the fact that it has performed very well against the US dollar, as well as when you compare to other major indices, as we've talked about in several videos before, and even gold. It outperforms the S&P 500, it outperforms gold, it outperforms a lot of the other major stocks, including tech stocks like Apple and Microsoft, and would not be a bad idea to look into potentially investing into this digital asset. Also, Robinhood, another fintech company, they just recently came out with their earnings report, and they've shown amazing growth over the past year. If you look at what they've done, they've had record revenues of $618 million, up 40% over this time frame. last year. As you can see, it was primarily driven by cryptocurrencies, revenue of 126 million, which is up basically a 3x over this time last year. So as people get more interested, Robinhood is known for their retail investor base, and they are getting a lot of money from these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency transactions and trading that are happening on their platform. And so we're seeing that because Bitcoin and some of these other cryptocurrencies are currently in, at the end of the day, if you zoom out, we're currently in a bull market. You are seeing that a lot of these other companies that are transacting in cryptocurrencies, including Block, including Robinhood, they're starting to see record revenues or a high rate of return over the last 12 to 16 months. So if Bitcoin, as we mentioned before, continues to go up in price, obviously all the other cryptocurrencies could potentially do well also, and that will drive even more revenue to companies like Robinhood, who are adding to their Bitcoin stash due to the amount of trading that is happening on the cryptocurrency side. So if we go here to what the spot Bitcoin ETFs are holding, because we are starting to see more inflows. We had GBTC for the first time have a positive inflow, which had been draining basically since the beginning of trading of these ETFs. They have had a drainage of over half of their total Bitcoin supply. They had over 600,000, as we've talked about before. They now have under 300,000, but now they're starting to see an inflow come into their fund. So it remains to be seen if that's going to continue to be a trend. They did offer a product that is now going to have a lower rate that you have to pay, a lower fee. So more people may be more attracted to GBTC now that they're offering a product that is going to have a much lower fee. As you can see, they have about 290,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. BlackRock's offering has 273,000, so they are likely to flip GBTC probably over the next several weeks. And then you can see total, all of the Bitcoin ETFs have over 800,000 Bitcoin. So that has been a huge deluge of demand that has come into Bitcoin since January. So we can see that these institutions are now buying Bitcoin, a lot of it on behalf of retail investors, but most of it is likely on behalf of other major institutions, whether it be hedge funds, whether it be family offices, whether it be other smaller banks, potentially even nation states. They are using this vehicle to be able to hold Bitcoin. So we're seeing that institutions are buying into Bitcoin, and there's only so much Bitcoin that is available. There's only 21 million that will ever be mined. And so if we're seeing here, this is a nice graphic from BBC. This is an article where they discuss where the Bitcoin is being spread out. And as we can see here, we have that 1.4 million has yet to be mined. So that's going to take several years for that to take place, where all of the Bitcoin will be in existence. Over 2 million is estimated. Some estimate even more than 2 million are actually lost. Some were lost in the early days when people left it on their hard drives, or they lost their private keys and they were unable to recover it. There was the Mt. Gox hack, which was one of the first exchanges for Bitcoin for retail investors. So there's a number of Bitcoin that are likely lost forever. So that obviously takes away a certain amount of the supply of Bitcoin that is currently available. And then you have 1.1 million that is in the wallet of Satoshi Nakamoto. It has not been moved since 2009. Most people believe that it will never be moved at this point. We don't know who is Satoshi Nakamoto, but as of this point, that is 1.1 million Bitcoin that is likely out of circulation. And then you have 16.1 million that are currently active. And you can see what makes up this particular block of Bitcoin. You can see that cryptocurrency exchanges like Binance, like Coinbase, Robinhood, they have approximately 2.3 million Bitcoin for their investors. Then you see that there's approximately almost 1 million now that is being held by traditional banks, and that includes the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, that are holding the Bitcoin for their clients. Then you see that there are Bitcoin wallets that contain small number of Bitcoins that are owned by individual investors. And then you see that there are unknown whales, people who own thousands and thousands of Bitcoin, and they own approximately 1.6 million Bitcoin. So as you can see here, this is a nice little breakdown and discussion point for each group of owners that have Bitcoin currently. You see it talks about the 2.4 Bitcoin that is likely lost forever, the crypto exchanges that own it, the unknown whales, the ones that are left to be mined, Satoshi Nakamoto, the regulated investment firms. As we mentioned, it includes the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We have law enforcement that have seized Bitcoin for various reasons in various countries. That is also a certain percentage of the Bitcoin supply. MicroStrategy, this actually needs to be updated because they now have 214,000 Bitcoin. So they now own 1% of the total Bitcoin supply. And according to Michael Saylor, who is the founder of MicroStrategy, it looks like they are not slowing down anytime soon in terms of their accumulation strategy. Then you have Mt. Gox, who lost a ton of coins during the hack. They still actually have a number of Bitcoin that is likely to be dispersed to some of the people who lost their Bitcoin during that hack years ago. The Winklevoss twins, who run Gemini Exchange, they have 70,000 Bitcoin. So the list goes on and on. You see the Bitcoin miners as well. Tim Draper, a couple other individual investors that have a ton of Bitcoin. Tesla, one of the public companies that also have a lot of Bitcoin, have nearly 10,000 Bitcoin. We discussed Block has approximately 8,000. They will be adding to that amount. And of course, we have El Salvador, which is one of the first countries to allow Bitcoin to be an official currency for the country. They have accumulated 2,800 Bitcoin, and they are also continuing to accumulate and add to their stash as they dollar cost average into Bitcoin. So we're seeing that the demand is there, and it really is just getting started when we think about all of the different investment arms that are looking to allocate into cryptocurrency, particularly into Bitcoin. So where do we fit in to this? As you can see here, once again, just to drive home the amount of institutions and the amount they have and currently hold and are starting to buy, you can see the ETFs have over 1 million Bitcoin, which is almost 5% of the Bitcoin supply. That number will likely be doubled over the next couple of years, if not sooner, because you can see how quickly we've gotten to almost 1 million Bitcoin just from the US spot Bitcoin ETFs. Then you see the countries, which include El Salvador, that owns Bitcoin. You see the public companies, which include the public miners, as well as public companies like Tesla and Block that we mentioned earlier. Then you have private companies, and then you have DeFi, so which is decentralized finance. So we're seeing that there is going to be a supply crunch as we're starting to see a lot of these major institutions getting into Bitcoin, deciding that they want to allocate a certain percentage of their investments into Bitcoin. That is going to continue to drive the price up. So how many individuals actually own Bitcoin? We're not absolutely sure. We can only go off of what is shown on the public ledger. There are approximately 460 million total addresses, but a lot of them only have a very, very small amount of Bitcoin, less than $1 actually. So there's really approximately 46 million wallets that have at least $1 or more. And so many people believe that probably approximately upwards of 40 to 50 million people have Bitcoin. So obviously it's still a very small amount when you consider that there are approximately 8 billion plus people in the world. So we are still very early in terms of retail getting into Bitcoin. But that's the issue, is if we're starting to see that these institutions are buying into Bitcoin, retail has yet to catch up. And if they don't, then the money will likely just be passed to these institutions and not people like me and you. So we need to take the time out now to learn about money, learn about the financial landscape, the economic landscape that we're in right now. We're going to continue to do more research. We're going to continue to provide you as much information as possible regarding what's happening in this cryptocurrency market. As we say in our Instagram and X posts, digital assets are something different. But would it behoove us to maybe put 0.5 to 1% of our investment portfolio into something like Bitcoin? Because we see the performance that it's had over the last 15 years since it's been in existence. So would it be worth putting in a little something? Possibly. Here at Networkchain, we think so. So we're stacking sats. We hope you're learning about stacking sats. At the end of the day, make the best decision for you. We thank you so much for continuing to check in with us. Of course, we post nearly daily on X. You can follow us here at Networkchain. And then, of course, we're also on IG. And we thank you once again for watching. We hope that you have a great start to your week. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.